Morning, this is Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. We start out where we always start out with the cryptocurrencies. And Bitcoin is kind of surging this morning. We took off our shorts with a nice profit, about 80%. So that's pretty nice. They were going to expire anyway today. We just wanted to make sure that if it continues its surge, that we didn't lose any money on them. So that is the story with Bitcoin. And we can take a look at Ethereum here as well. Ethereum is coming up a little slow. Ethereum is up as well. It's pulling back here a little bit. So let us go over to our charts. This is the software chart. It's bouncing a little bit up 0.76%. Dollar index turns down. It got a little bit of a bounce yesterday, but it's turning down. Take a look at silver. Silver is up. Take a look at the metals and mining ETF, up 1.81% and 1.9% this morning. Gold is up 1.14%. Uranium, look at that move on the uranium. Wow, up over 6%. Here's our favorite uranium mining company, and look at that one, 14%. That is a pretty nice move. Okay, let us go over to our bond yields. Bond yields rose yesterday, and now they have turned tail this morning. At 10-year is at 3.8. To the 20-year. It's down off 1.03, is below 3% again. The VIX had jumped up yesterday. It's pulling back off 3.6% down to 16.16. S&P 500 was off quite a bit yesterday, and it is bouncing today, up 1.18%. RSP, equal weight in the S&P, up over 1% today. The NASDAQ is up 1.48. Yesterday was an outside day. Look at this. It took out like 3 days of profit of rally. It's still an inside day today, staying inside the move of yesterday. The equal weight on the NASDAQ is up 1%, pretty much the same thing. It's an inside day, staying inside the move of yesterday, which took out looks like two of the prior days. Take a look at the IWM. The Russell 2000, surging today, up 2.5%. That's pretty amazing. And Dow Jones is up pretty big as well, up 0.94%. So that's kind of the look around there. Let's see how the sub-indexes of the S&P 500 are doing. XLF is up 0.61%. Just looked at the Wells Fargo. Got quite a nice move, up 2% today. Working on a little cup with a handle. It looks like a pretty odd-shaped cup. The number one index for the year so far has been XLC. Meta and Google and AT&T are in this. Meta is up about 0.8%. Google is trying to get back to its 20-day moving average, up 1.3%. Utilities up 0.7%. Real estate, look at that one, move out of the pivot zone, up 1.34%. This has been kind of continually our ETF of the day. We're not sure if it'll survive that one today. Let's go to semiconductors. They're bouncing back. They're up 3% today. Insurance, moving up. Regional banks, look at that move on regional banks. I think that may make our ETF of the day. Here's the S&P regional banks. They're up 3% as well. Infrastructure, up 1.54%. Airlines, they're up 2.25%. Leisure, up 1.3%. Building and materials, up a little over 1%. We looked at the metals and mining earlier. Home builders, up 2.7%. And I think that may be a wrap on everything that we're going to look at on the subsectors. Maybe look at XLK, 1.9%. We got out of this, our favorite ETF earlier in the week. Seems to be bouncing. Not sure if I'm going to go back into that or not. And this is the biotech triple heads. It's getting a nice bounce here. Not sure if we'll go back in there. We may nibble. Now, what did we do overnight? We got out of NVIDIA yesterday and we got back in this morning. Got in a 128.50, I believe. We only sold half of our position yesterday on the downturn, but Cava Mediterranean Grill. Here we go. We'll take a little longer look at this one. Not sure why, but coming up. I'm going to pause for 1 second. We've kind of been banging the table since the IPO. We talked about the IPO when it was, it had sold off initially and gone down to, I believe it was 38, and then it came back to 40.41, said this is a buy. 2 days later, JP Morgan agreed with me, and it went up to 58. And when it came back to 52, we said it was a sell. So, and then it sold off from 52 to 29. We'll just bring it up here. As we can see, a big sell-off here on the monthly. And big sell-off here. When it came back to 31, we said this was a buy. And we just kind of rode this up. We had 1,500 shares. And we sold them when half of them right on this day. It had pulled back a lot over here. And we sold it here, and then we sold the other half, and then we bought options at 49. 15 options, we got back into it, and somewhere right over here, we sold 500 of them, so we had 1,000. And then on the big downturn with the market, we got out of everything, and then we bought it back at about 80. And then when it reported earnings last night, we added 500 shares. We did have a put in case the earnings came out less than stellar, and we finance that put by selling a call. So we closed both of those this morning, and this thing has just really taken off. A gap up, and it's up 16% today. So that's where we are there. Yeah, about, I think it's almost 30% of our portfolio right now, might be a little bit more. And then we added to BitX this morning. Added another 500 shares of BitX. This is double the Bitcoin, kind of surging up to 61. It's up 4.65%. We'll see if we can get a breakout here. If you just draw the line over these tops, wasn't a perfect draw. It looks like it's kind of broken out here. It had been trending in the 58,000 to 59,000, and earlier this week it broke above that to 60,000, and looks like it's definitely breaking out. See if it can continue that move. That's good news for a Friday. App is another holding that we have. Had pulled back a little bit, but it didn't violate our stop. So that continues to do pretty well. We did get stopped out of GEV this morning. Big move down. So that's okay. That's what stops are for. Protect your portfolio when you're sleeping, or on vacation, or on the golf course. So I'm just pulling up my little handheld, kind of FT AI we got into yesterday. Continues moving on up. We got into PayPal a couple of days ago. On this move here, continues to do all right. It was bouncing around yesterday, was negative for a moment, and then ended the day positive. We did put option on for earnings. We'll just see how this comes out on Sentinel. Has a nice little cup consolidation here, and it kind of broke above all those moves, so that's kind of attracted our attention on that one. Minnesota Mining and Metals, I guess it's called. 3M had a gap up here. Been riding pretty tight, so we did put on options on this one yesterday. We did the 128, 132. So it is in the money right now on today's move. We have this IPO, BO. This has this nice little IPO base right over here. Tried to break out and then sold off. So an IPO base is 16, 25 days in length. That's kind of what we wrote on the IPO of Cava. We may show a little more in depth on that in a little bit. Here's another IPO that we've been watching. Mexican Foods. Bought this yesterday. A little bit of a pullback right here. And it's taken off today up another 4.6%. And Powell. It manufactures substation packages, and with all the AI, this is performing pretty well. You need a lot of electricity for AI. Has this cup formation. Came up here, pulled back, and fell back into its base, and flared here, and then pulled back. This is where we put on the spread trade. We sold the long part of the spread yesterday. I believe we had it at 175, 180, And if it keeps moving on up, we'll just let it exercise the shares with that call option. And let's go back in time. We're just going to take a look what we did with Cava on, see if we can learn a little bit of, this is on an IPO base. We'll go back in time here. So I'm going to pause here until I set this up. So this is Cava last year, came public. They priced their IPO at 22, and when it came to the open markets, it really jumped up here, came all the way to 47.90, and next day it sold off. We'll just kind of move forward on this. It came all the way down to 37. It's like we said, 16 to 25 days is the base. Here is where I bought in, 39 and 40. Told our listeners about this. Jumped up here on JP Morgan's price, putting a price of 46. Jumps up above 46. Pulls back a little bit. Maybe, let's see, no, I don't think I put on the buy right here. That wasn't quite the breakout. Then it came back even further right here. Came back to low of 37. And this is where I put on the buy this second day up, about the 39. I believe this is where JP Morgan had their announcement. I told everybody on this day that was buying that I thought it was going to higher, and then JP Morgan had their announcement, and here's where, see, it came up here and it cleared this area, and it shoots all the way up here to 52.25. I took a profit on a quarter, so I had about 1,000 shares. I took profit right here at 52 on 250 shares. I had pulled back here, and I bought them back. And then it goes into a little bit of consolidation. Here it breaks out of the pivot again. Here you can see the base with a double, look, not quite a double bottom, pretty close to it. And it broke out over here. And here it jumped to 53.33. I believe it went all the way to 58. Yeah, here's where it got right up to the profit zone. I was gone for a couple of days, so I didn't see this move, but went up here. And then it came back here when it came back right around 52 there. That's where I sold. I told everybody in my show, I think this is going to fail. And sure enough, the reason fails is most IPOs at some point fail, and then they go into their due diligence phase. Well, all the professional money managers go in and check out the company. So it came all the way down here to 29. So I said Chipotle came out public at about the same price. This is your great opportunity to get into a company that I said have a strong feeling is going to perform very similar to Chipotle. Right now, you can see it's trying to work on a bottoming base here. Continues moving down. I'll move this chart down a little bit here. See, the volume is a little low, not quite as high as these blue bars over here, which is good. Not a lot of professional people are selling, it appears. I think it's going to kind of undercut at some point here. Down to 29 something again. Yeah, so 29.66, it was 29.35. It didn't go any lower there. So I bought at 31, told everybody on my show when I was buying. There was another point where there was a drive-through salad company came out and it undercut on that news. I believe it had gone up to, this may be the day that it undercut on the news. I told everybody I was buying on this opportunity, wasn't worried about a drive-through salad company. And here's where it spiked the next day. So, and now it starts trending. It's getting the professional buying. Look at all these blue bars here. That is not your Mother Teresa buying, but this continues trending. Continued blue bars above the average line here. So you can see right here, it gets above the 50-day. Once it closes the 50-day, that is definitely a buy opportunity, even though we bought at 30, 31, and I believe the other one was maybe around 30, 32. We're not going to keep going on, but you can kind of see what is going on here. Had a little sell-off as it falls to the 20-day moving average. A lot of times stock will get buying support at the 20-day. When it pulls back here, this is where professional money managers may add to their position. So that's one area, gets its support, and it continues to get buying in this area. Gets a little bit more support at the 10-day moving average. So this red line right here, that's a 10-day moving average. The green line is a 20-day moving average. And this big red line over here is a 50-day moving average. So that's our look at Cava Mediterranean Grill. Continues to perform on all cylinders. They're going to add 55 new restaurants this year. So There you go. This has been Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll catch you later. Keep going out there and working on your goals and your activities, and you'll be surprised where you end up.